Hello and welcome back to the Squirrel Heed YouTube channel, and welcome to match week number 9. I'm doing it all together. Haven't necessarily got the time to do the separate Liverpool video like I normally do, so I'm going to group it together with the rest of the Premier League action. Match week 9, as I said, it's the review of the weekend that we've just had, and it's been a very positive weekend in terms of Liverpool, because we not only got a good win, and it was a good win, it was a bit shaky, and I'll tell you why it was a bit shaky, in my opinion, right? So we hit about 60 minutes, we're looking alright, we're looking pretty good. Then I forget, I've got to go out and go to a family meal. So I go for a family meal, we're sat there waiting for a table to come available, having a couple of drinks, bit of a laugh, bit of banter, and then my phone goes off, 2-1, Macaulay gets a goal, and I'm sat there just like, it's happening all over again. It's happening all over again. We're gonna somehow it's look. I was convinced that we were gonna get a 2-all draw. That's all that we were gonna get, and I just keep waiting and I'm waiting and I'm waiting and I'm looking ignorant, waiting for a table, waiting to order a pizza, waiting for this banging pizza, and it is amazing. Whilst trying to keep it together and wait for the score to come in, and I'm almost waiting for it to go full time, or it's gonna go 2-2, and I was gonna be. You know what? It was only 8 minutes or 9 minutes, 81st minute that the goal was. But Jesus Christ, that was some of the longest time I've had to wait for something like this. And I'm so glad that we managed to hold out and get the 2-1 victory. People can say what they want about our defence. They say that we've got defensive frailties, that we're shaky all over the place. We're not as shaky as people seem to think we are, and we're not as shaky as people seem to forget we were. When we had the likes of Skirtle, Colo Torre and stuff like that, we probably would have took the aerial assault that West Brom were giving us, especially into that last 10 minutes. We would have took that and probably conceded maybe one more goal, maybe another goal as well. Instead, we kept it to them getting one goal back. We scored two beautiful goals by Sadio Mane. Very glad to see him get on the score sheet because he plays so well for us. And Coutinho, brilliant goal, absolutely brilliant goal. But that whole front, the whole midfield, all of those players from the midfield up to the front, they all played very, very well. I think the defence did as well. Karius as well. I think it was very good to keep faith in Karius, and it puts us in good stead in the Premier League. Yes, we did go second, but as the report is obviously missing out here, we are now in third because of Man City's game that they had, but we'll come on to that later. But I'm feeling very positive. I think it was a good performance, especially that first half. I think we were electric. We were everything that we didn't do in the first half against Man United last week. And it's just kind of gutting that we didn't really get a result against Man United because we could have actually been sitting top. But it doesn't matter where we sit right now. It matters where we sit in April and May when we start getting, to the very tail end of the season. I'm very, very happy. What else can I say? I think the performance was very good. The players played very well. We lose Jordan Henderson for Tuesday night for the cup game. I've got to do a preview for that somehow as well. But we'll get there. Don't worry about it. So I think we're going to be ringing the changes on that game as well, which is, well, it's a good time to do it. And then we go to Crystal Palace at the weekend. I'm very, very positive. I am very, very positive. I'm so happy to have gotten the win and to keep our form going. So now we turn our attention to other games, and one that surprised me the most, and I think I did say in my preview I didn't think that Burnley were going to have enough. They had more than enough. Everton, I don't exactly know what's going on. Now, I know when I come to the Man United game and the Everton games, stuff like that, people will probably just think I'm going to look at it like in massive bias and stuff like that. And I try not to do that. I try not to come out like an arse about these sort of things. But I think, don't get me wrong, the goals that Burnley scored were good goals. They were very, very good goals. And their goalkeeper, Heaton, had an absolutely storming game. He really did have a storming game where Everton, on another day against another team, could have scored a boatload of goals. But they didn't take their chances. They really did. Balassi got a very good goal, nicked the ball off Lukaku. Not many people would do that with the form that Lukaku can do with the sort of goals that he can score. But he scores a good goal. But then, 90th minute, Arfield scores a goal that was just... I think it was Goodmanson had fired in a shot, hit the bar, or the goalkeeper got to it. I can't exactly remember from the highlights that I saw. But then it just goes back into the box, and then this Arfield just literally hits a bobbled shot that normally you see those go over the bar or you see them missed off target, all that sort of stuff. But absolutely brilliant goal for those guys. It's an absolutely brilliant one for Burnley, especially because I think a lot of people were probably counting them out. Everton have got to start stepping up with the talent that they've got in their team as well. They really have to start doing a lot better in games, because I'm trying to go back. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to have a look at their form and just see what their form is looking like. Now, that form isn't looking great. That form doesn't look good at all. When you've got your last win in the Premier League was the 17th of September. That's well over a month ago. And they've lost to the likes of Bournemouth. They lost to Norwich in the Cup. Yes, they got draws against Palace and City. Not impressive, though, really, when you look at how things have turned out lately. And then losing to Burnley. Not very good for Everton. Very, very good for Burnley and Sean Dyche, who's done a brilliant job at keeping that team together. But Everton really need to give themselves a kick up the arse, big style. Moving on to a game that was always going to be difficult for Hull. Hull are in a bit of a... They're in a bit of a pit at the moment. They aren't able to... Since they basically announced Mike Phelan as their full-time manager, their permanent manager at that point, I don't think they've actually been able to win a game. Stoke have been getting a little bit more momentum as the weeks have gone on since they played Man United, and I think this is now starting to show. Shaqiri with 2 goals that were absolutely magnificent goals. You can't take it away from the guy. Sometimes, yes, he goes missing in games quite often, but when he does turn up, he has the ability to do exactly what he did in that game. 30-yard screamer on his left foot, just turns in, absolutely unbelievable. Top corner, top bins, couldn't be any more in there. And then he goes and gets a free kick, and he gets a free run at it. Shawcross ducks his head in the wall, no one behind him, and a very, very well-deserved win for Stoke City. And this is where I like the Premier League. I know I did a prediction video about where the table was going to sit at the end of the season, and I'll be updating that in January when the January transfer window's gone as well. But Stoke are possibly starting to prove me wrong. They've had a very bad start to the season. This could be where they start to pick up. Hull, on the other hand, they need to rediscover what that little bit of fight and grit that they had in the first couple of games of the season, where they were actually really very competitive in some games. It's unfortunate for Hull. They've had some very, very hard times, but at the end of the day, Stoke did deserve the victory, and it was a very entertaining game to watch overall. Bad times for Hull, though. And Leicester come back to the Premier League, and I predicted that they were going to lose, because I was like, they're prioritising the Champions League, but they did a very, very good job over Crystal Palace. Musa gets a very good goal. In fact, I think all the goals, especially Fuchs' goal, what an absolute banger that was. And for his first goal for Leicester, for that to be your first goal for your club, unbelievable stuff. Leicester are getting back on track a little bit, but let's not get overboard, because they have had some very stuttering performances as well. Crystal Palace have done okay in recent games and recent weeks. This is obviously a little bit of a stumbling block and presents us, Liverpool, with a little bit of a, not a dilemma I would say, but a little bit of a problem, because now that Crystal Palace have lost, they always will want to bounce back in their next game. Now, whether that be if they are in the Cup, I can't remember if they are, they're going to be facing us, they're going to be at home. I'm hoping that we can continue our form and, hopefully tear apart Crystal Palace. Again, it's also dangerous. Christian Benteke is going to be coming up against Liverpool and wanting to prove himself. It's one of those for us. But on the run of this play, I take my hat off to Leicester for putting in a very, very good performance. Maybe this could be a kickstart to their Premier League as well as their Champions League for how well they're doing there. You can only applaud them, really. I know they haven't done well in the league so far, but maybe this could be the platform for them to kick on, get a bit higher up in the table, progress in the Champions League. Things are looking good again for Leicester. We move on to Swansea versus Watford, and it wasn't the most exciting game whatsoever. It was a 0-0. Two teams that probably either way could have done with a victory. I think Swansea more so, though, because of the run that they've been on, and I think the way that it was working out was that if they'd actually lost this game, it would equal Swansea's worst run that they'd ever had, and I can't remember if that was actually under Michael Laudrup or anything like that, during the point, I think, where Laudrup actually got sacked. I'm not entirely sure on that one, so I just thought that there was much more opportunity for both teams. Both teams are pretty good. Both teams are pretty good footballing teams. They play quite nice football. Swansea, when it clicks, can be one of the nicest teams to actually watch. Watford can be very devastating in attack, and it just didn't come together for either team. A 0-0 probably deserved for both, but it would have been good for both either team, Swansea or Watford, to have gotten a victory. And Swansea, I think, needed it a bit more, but I think Bradley the new manager will be happy getting a draw, not losing the game, and maybe gives him something to build on. West Ham United managed to come away from a game against Sunderland with a 94th minute winner at home. It's an unbelievable result, really. It looked like it was going to a 0-0. David Moyes is doing absolutely dire. There's no two ways about it. He's doing dire at home. He's doing dire away from home. Sunderland at the moment do not have a hope in hell about surviving relegation or anything like that. I don't think they're ever going to get out of this now. I think this is set in when you've got Defoe coming out, your goal scorer, you're one that you want to be looking to getting your goals and everything like that, and he comes out and says we've gone backwards under David Moyes. Not very good. Not very good. And if that's your team harmony, they're not going to be doing very well for the rest of the season. West Ham, on the other hand, needed this victory at home, maybe just to settle some of those feelings that new stadium actually has. Because that new stadium has been getting a bit of a raw deal in terms of the fan behaviour and the actual atmosphere that's been going on there. It's obviously when you're not in the best, and we've had it at Anfield, when you're not in the very best of form at all, and you may be losing and drawing games that you shouldn't be, and you can feel it in the air. Like say when you concede a goal, or it's not, you get to like 90th minute and it's 0-0. You get those feelings in the stadium that you can just feel nervousness and a bit of negativity. And I think that was what was happening with West Ham. It seemed to have completely evaporated in the 94th minute when Winston Reid pops up with a very, very good goal. And it is very well needed for West Ham as well. Sunderland are doing dire, and I think they are going down. There's no escape for Sunderland, I don't think. Unless something miraculous happens, I think this is it for Sunderland this season. Arsenal missed the opportunity to take advantage of the form that they were in. They were all absolutely buzzing about beating Ludogorets 6-0, and they're getting good results against Swansea and all that lot as well. But at the end of the day, Middlesbrough actually looked like the more dangerous team. I remember Middlesbrough had a free kick and it hit the very top corner of the crossbar and the post. Bit of a combination of the two. It was a very, very good free kick then. They were just unlucky with the accuracy. They had a lot more chances that were a lot more threatening, in my opinion, than Arsenal. I think Arsenal, as the headline says, they really did get away with a draw. They should have been beaten, if we're being honest. And I'm not anti-Arsenal or anything like that. I just thought on the run of play, Middlesbrough were actually unlucky to not win the game. Arsenal were lucky to get a draw from the game, and they missed an opportunity. I think they missed the opportunity to actually go top of the league as well, and that would have been very, very good for Arsenal. It would have been giving them a lot more positivity. It would have given them a much more bounce and buzz about going forward in their games, because they have been playing very good football. They've been ripping teams apart, but very, very, it's a missed opportunity in my opinion for Arsenal, and a very, very good result despite not winning for Middlesbrough. And I thought that they should have won. But it's one of those. It was a 0-0. Middlesbrough really should have taken it. And we move on to another draw, and this time it's Bournemouth against Tottenham. Now Tottenham, they desperately, desperately need Harry Kane back, big time. They need Harry Kane back as soon as humanly possible. Hopefully not on Tuesday night. You know, I don't want. Just leave Harry Kane for the weekend, please, because I don't want to be facing Harry Kane if he's coming back from injury in the cup. I want to stay in the cup, and we're going to be making some changes, I imagine. Well, Mignolet is going to be in goal, so that's one right there. I think Bournemouth put on a very good display. Again, Spurs are unbeaten. They're only unbeaten team in the league right now, but it's one of those. I think that Tottenham now sit in fifth due to Chelsea's performance, which we'll come on to as well. I think again it's another it's a bit like Arsenal. It's a bit of a missed opportunity to show that progress. That I think they could have actually been sat, if they'd won, they would have been maybe sitting on top of the league due to the results around them as well. Bournemouth put on a good display. They're impressing me and proving me wrong week in, week out at the moment. I thought that they weren't going to do anything against Hull. They beat them 6-1. I didn't know if they were going to get anything against Tottenham. I thought this could be a time that Tottenham might slip though, and they do manage to pull out a draw. And they were quite dangerous themselves. So positive for Bournemouth. Tottenham, they need their goal scorer back big time. When Janssen isn't doing it and Son has maybe an off day, and the other players that they've got as well, Ali, Lamela wasted a lot of chances as well. Tottenham really do need their goal scorer back as soon as possible. Now we move into Sunday's games, and we've got Manchester City versus Southampton, and there was a category of errors in some of the play here. Southampton did play a very good game, and I think it was a very good goal that Iheanacho scored to bring it back to 1-1. But I think concerning times slightly for Man City, because I think if you go and you speak to some of the fans and you speak to like maybe there's people in the media as well. I'm not saying speak to, I don't know anybody in the media, but especially the fans and such like that, they were really desperate to get rid of Manuel Pellegrini when actually all the problems that they seem to have were actually resurfacing right now. The struggles that they've had in the Champions League, some of the struggles that they've had in the league itself, and they're not as secure as you would like to think. They sit on top of the league right now on goal difference only. Literally on goal difference. I believe that's correct. I'm not entirely sure, but I do think that's correct. They've scored so many more goals at the start of the season that they now sit on top. Man City have got a lot to work on. When Kompany is coming on, and this is, I think, his first game in quite a while, and Kompany looks shaky, that seemed to rub off on John Stones, and John Stones misplaces a pass, and it goes through to Nathan Redmond, takes it round Bravo, who, Bravo himself, is looking nowhere like the goalkeeper he was at Barcelona. He's looking very shaky, making wrong decisions left, right and centre. Not very good performance at all by that back four, but they managed to get themselves back in the game. Maybe they could have won it if they weren't awarded offside for a John Stones goal. Aguero was judged to have been playing offside. Southampton, on the other hand, they've been playing very, very well lately. They barely conceded any goals, and when they do, they seem to ride out draws. Apart from the game that they had against Inter, I say it all the time at the moment, and I don't know any other team that can deal with losing such big players in their team like Southampton do, and still able to do very, very well. Replace players that they've lost. They lose Mane, they bring in Redmond. Then there's loads of different examples as well. They just seem to be able to cope very well. Charlie Austin comes in, Shane Long. They lose Graziano Pell. You don't even notice that he's not there anymore. You don't miss him because they've got very good strikers there. They were unfortunate to not get the win here, but a pretty competitive game overall. It was good to. I don't want to say it's good to see Man City not win, because now it means we've now got a very, very wide open title race, which is going to be a bit more wide open when I come to the next game. And that next game was Chelsea versus Manchester United. And it's all, as I said before, about the whole bias with Everton and Manchester United and all that sort of stuff. Being a Liverpool fan, it's very difficult sometimes to criticise a Manchester United team as a Liverpool supporter, because most of the time the first thing that people are going to say is, well, you're a Liverpool supporter, your opinion's invalid. However, I think I said something similar, or something to the effect of, in the preview, that Chelsea could do very well and they could blitz, they could score a good few goals, and Man United might struggle to actually sit with Chelsea. I can't remember if I said that or not. I've got a feeling that I might have. Chelsea, they come out the blocks firing. That first minute goal, you can kind of... Don't get me wrong, it was a very, very good goal, but it does happen. It does happen to teams where you go down, you go behind so quickly in a game that you barely got time to think. They then follow up with one hell of a smashed goal by Gary Cahill, 21st minute, and I'm looking at it like 21st minutes and it's 2-0. Manchester United don't look like they're getting into the game. They still don't know. They're just still not settled in that midfield area. But then the defence looked very shaky. They conceded that early on. They just looked like they were error prone all over the place. And then Hazard and Kante score two very, very good goals as well. It's one of those. It just seems like at the moment their big players are not performing at all. You got, obviously, people are criticising Pogba and the fee. Look, criticise the player. You can't really criticise the fee. The player doesn't decide his fee. That's one thing that I always say. People criticised us for signing Sadio Mane for between 30 and 36 million. It's everything, the value or the worth of someone seems to be always based on performances, which is correct. But the player themselves don't turn around and say, I'm a £36 million player, or I'm an £89 million player. That's clubs and business. So it's very difficult to say that the player is responsible for the price tag that he's perhaps not living up to. That's not necessarily his fault, because then on the other end of the scale, you've got Zlatan Ibrahimovic, who is a world-class striker, scores everywhere that he goes, yet he has been unable to affect games very, very much recently. He comes over on a free from PSG, I believe, and he's just not affecting games at the moment. And you do have to wonder that if he's not affecting games at the moment, and the only other striker that they've technically got, well, they've got Martial and Rashford. Maybe you could turn around and give those guys a bit of a run up front. The problem that I've got with Manchester United at the moment is that because they're switching and changing that midfield quite a lot, that front threes tend to stay a little bit the same. Maybe Lingard comes in instead of like Rashford or someone like that, or Martial comes in, or he comes on off the subs bench and stuff like that. They kind of switch that about a bit. But that midfield and whoever is partnering Pogba or whoever has been a bit of a trio with Pogba, that needs to get sorted out pretty damn quickly, because then they start to build consistency. They will start to build consistency, partnerships, and everything like that. And that's so, so important. If people say it about the defence, I say it about our defence. That having that defence pretty much picks itself every single game, because you want to build consistency. You want to build relationships and partnerships between all of those players, so they know each other week in, week out, game in, game out, and they know it. If you're switching that out week in, week out, it's not going to end very well for you. There's very few that can do it. I think we've seen from Ranieri with Leicester this season that he's been tinkering, going back to his old Tinkerman nickname and stuff like that. He's been tinkering with the team, and it hasn't necessarily worked in the Premier League. They need to settle somewhere. They need to settle something, or just decide this is how we're going to go. Whether it goes shit for a while, it could then improve. If not, it's going to be pretty difficult times for Jose Mourinho. Chelsea, on the other hand, I said it before the game, since they moved to a 3-4-3 formation, they've done very, very well. They haven't conceded goals. I think 3 games ago, they scored 2 goals, and it was 2-0. The game after that, it was 3-0. This game is now 4-0, and they're looking. The players are looking much happier, much more creative. Hazard especially is affecting games. Pedro's having an effect on the game. Defence is looking much better. Midfield's looking much more solid. Exactly the opposite of what Manchester United looked like on the weekend, and Chelsea were very, very deserving of their victory. And that is the Premier League review for this week. So I will hopefully get back to doing some separate Liverpool videos as well for the reviews. I just wanted to get them all done today, because we've got another game coming up on Tuesday, and I need to record that preview as well. I got some other things coming. I've got a video of what is going to be coming up on the channel. I haven't done one in a while, so I've got a lot of stuff to actually come onto the channel, and I want to let you know what it is, just in case I can't get them up as regularly as I would like. But anyway, I hope you've enjoyed the video. Please drop a like on the video if you've enjoyed it. Share some comments. Let me know how you thought the weekend went for your team. Are you feeling good? Are you feeling negative? Let me know. How do you think your team is going to do by the end of the season as well? Hit that like button. Subscribe if you're new around here. Thank you ever so much for watching, and I will catch you later.